So here's a Belle mixer, 150. I'm struggling to get the gearbox off it because the drum is just spinning. The reason the drum's spinning is because the worm gear has completely worn out the big aluminium gear. I still can't jam the shaft enough to get the drum off so I can get the whole gearbox off. So I've just drilled that hole and that hole in the gear to put some locking pins in, and then I'm hopefully going to jam it with some screwdrivers and get the drum off the front, which will make the gearbox drop off. As you can see, I've tried a few times to lock things up, but it's because that worm gear won't lock into anything. I can't stop the central gear cog spinning because it has no teeth on it. So now I've drilled them holes. That swarf is from where I've drilled in that hole and that hole. So let's see if it comes off in a minute. As you can see, I've put the gearbox studs back in to sort of lever against, not ideal. And then I put a bar across my two locking pins, which are just 2 bolts in 6mm holes, and we'll see if I can undo it. Still not coming off. Had to upgrade the bolts that we lever against to 8mm holes and 8mm bolts, and also take off the electric stuff, which I just about did because I could get to the bolts and nuts down there while the drum's so slack. But the next thing is to put some heat into the drum because it's so wedged on, it's been bending my bolts. And that's how tough that is stuck. So we've got new bolts that are straight. I'm going to heat the drum up centrally and see if we can crack it off of that. And I'll heat it up dead centre in there. Some heat on that shaft. A bit hard to reach. So, still having trouble getting this drum off. As you can see, I need to either cut that, but first I'm going to try and strap it up and turn against them bolts again, see if I can undo it. So I've put a ratchet strap around the drum, put a locking bar through the handle of the ratchet strap so the drum won't move. I then put a massive bar across my studs here, but it broke the stud off, so I still can't lever it undone. So I'm gonna have to cut it off. It's not going to be pretty, but that's got to be cut down there somewhere. Hard to get a grinder in, we'll see. Maybe a reciprocating saw, and then I'll try and get the stud, the shaft out of the drum. I'm putting a new drum on anyway, so that doesn't matter, and I'm putting a new gearbox on, but I do need to get it off the frame, so it's a pain. So I've turned it over because I can get closer to that shaft, which is only about 3-4 inches away, so maybe with a 9-inch cutter I can get in there and chop that off. There you go, halfway through the shaft with a reciprocating saw, and needs a second blade because that soon blunted that. It's quite a thick shaft. So there we are. Just had to cut through that inch and 1/8 maybe shaft. Took about 2.5 blades, good heavy duty demolition blades. Gearbox might be salvageable still, as I only want to change that shaft gear in there really, so might better reuse that still, the casing. And that's how you get it off when it really won't come off. So my next task will be to weld a bit of bar to this and see if we can get the drum off, just have it as a spare drum or something. And there you go, all back together, new gearbox. Even stowed the plug in the top. Doesn't matter about the holes because the water doesn't drip onto anything there. New shaft, all greased up, ready for a drum. And then I'm going to weld that on there. Right, so I welded an old jet ski shaft to the pivot point, the old spindle, just about, and then I had to grind a bit off because it actually welded to the drum. And then with a ratchet strap put a certain way, locked to the floor so it can't turn, it just goes and it's off. There we go. And that's how you try multiple ways to get the drum off. Ta-da!